Let's just see if we can get some video shared here. Excellent. All right, yeah, well, I'm here from San Francisco, and I'm going to talk to you guys about Appium, which is a mobile automation tool for native, hybrid, and mobile web apps. So I thought I'd actually start things off with a demo. Now, I happen to be a musician, and I've been aware of all these apps that you can get from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store that help you to play music. And I thought it would be cool to write a song for LXJS and see if Appium could help give me a bit of a band to play the song with. So I'm going to play for you guys. But first of all, you have a choice. I can do I can have Appium running the band live, or I can play a recorded video. And I just found it too hard to decide myself, so I thought I'd leave it up to you guys to decide. What would you rather see? Do it live. All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, the reason I gave you the choice is so that if it goes wrong, I have someone else to blame. So, need to plug in the audio for my computer. Okay, you can turn off the head mic here. Check.
I'll get out of bed, though there's nothing for me to do, and I'll have automatic toast, I'll drink automatic juice. We knew this day would come, when all our striving test-driven life. I need to remember what it was like. When there was still code to write, when there was still code to breakfast is on
Thanks. So you can all see that automation is a complex issue. All right, so we did it live. Great. All the code for this is up on GitHub if you want to take a look at how I did it. And then this is sort of a little schematic representation of how I made this happen. So obviously I have a bunch of devices. I had 4 Android emulators and 1 iPhone simulator. The Android emulators were running a native app that was just free from the Play Store that I got. That's why you could see some of the ads there. And then the iPhone simulator was running mobile Safari in a little web page that I created. So it was typing the lyrics in time with the song. And then I had all of the different instruments, their scores and the lyrics in separate files, and then a director process kind of orchestrated all of them so that it lined up each of the parts from each of the different instruments. And then obviously the kind of magic piece in the middle that makes this happen is Appium. And so I think this is a really powerful demonstration of how you can use Appium to automate your mobile devices. Okay, now for the real introduction to this talk. So mobile automation is all well and good, but there's a kind of more serious business at stake, which is scaling mobile quality. As we've been hearing, and as this portion of LXJS is designed to honor, mobile is taking over the world. Of course, we have a problem then of making sure that the things we're putting into this mobile space are high-quality pieces of software. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but this is kind of how I see a really nice software development cycle. And a lot of us, I think, have been enjoying something like this with web development for some time now, especially with continuous integration servers that run sets of automated tests and maybe even deploy automatically based on all the tests passing or something like that. But this has been pretty difficult in the mobile world. Particularly the automated testing piece and the automated deployment piece have been hard for mobile. And so Appium aims to address that kind of bottom right square there, the automated testing piece, because automation in general is great, but one of the main reasons that we care about it as software developers is using it so that we don't have to check that our app works correctly. We can have the software do that instead. So Appium is cross-platform. Works on a few different platforms, which I'll show you. And the goal is for it to support native app automation as well as hybrid apps like PhoneGap apps, and as well as pure mobile web apps if you just have a website that you want to test using a mobile device. And as I was saying, it kind of tries to address that testing piece of the continuous integration workflow. So it also happens to be written in JavaScript. Yay? Yes, yeah, I think it's pretty awesome. So that's one of the reasons we're here, I think. Okay, so why did we make Appium? Why does Appium exist? Well, we have kind of a very opinionated philosophy, and when we examined the mobile automation landscape, we didn't really find a product that satisfied, a project that satisfies our desires to have all these things at the same time. And I'm not going to go into detail on them here. You can check out Appium's website for more of the rationale behind this. But one of the things I did want to highlight is the last thing, which is that we believe this should be truly open source. We believe that every aspect of the development of Appium should happen out in the open. It should be a project that involves people outside of Sauce Labs and all kinds of people. And I think the last time I looked at our committer list, we had somewhere close to 60 different contributors. So I think we're actually doing pretty well on that. So this is what Appium supports today. You can automate your apps using real devices, which I have a video of later in the presentation. You can use simulators and emulators, as you saw in the demo. You can test native apps, hybrid apps like PhoneGap apps, and then again, mobile web apps. And the platforms we support are iOS, Android, and Firefox OS. And then you can actually drive Appium using a robot too if you want to have physical automation of your mobile apps. So how is Appium architected such that it kind of meets these desires that we had for it? Well, basically, it's an HTTP server. So it actually runs on Express, and it creates and handles WebDriver sessions. If you're not familiar with WebDriver, it used to be called Selenium, and it's an already existing standard for browser automation that is, by and large, the most popular way to automate your web apps on a functional level. So it turns out that WebDriver is basically a specification, an HTTP spec, that defines certain endpoints that you call to in order to affect the particular automation behaviors that you're interested in. And because it's an HTTP API, you have this client-server architecture, which means that you can make WebDriver calls in any language where you have WebDriver bindings. And that can be any language because every language supports HTTP calls. So that's how we kind of address this issue of not forcing people to use a particular language or framework in order to do their testing. I personally prefer using Node to do my testing, and you can do that. This is the point I just made. The star is because I don't think there's a C client or Pascal, but pretty much everything else. It also has a somewhat official status. Companies like Mozilla have been pushing it forward to the W3C, trying to get the browser vendors themselves to support this automation spec. And we're currently working hand in hand with folks from Mozilla and Facebook and other companies to do the same thing for this kind of new mobile specification that we're pushing forward with Appium. So we hope that it becomes official in the same capacity. So that's kind of the front end, if you will, the way that you write code to speak to Appium, the way you tell Appium what you want to happen in your app, but how does Appium then make it happen? Again, I'm not going to go into detail here, but basically we use the vendor-provided automation frameworks. So Apple has Instruments and a UI automation API. Google has UI Automator for newer devices and instrumentation for older devices. So we use another project called Selendroid for getting access to automation on older Android devices. And then in a very awesome and, in fact, sane way, Mozilla provides WebDriver support natively in Firefox OS through Marionette. So that was the easiest by far to integrate. So that's how Appium works. What do Appium tests look like? How do you actually write code like I did to take an app and say, I want these things to happen, and maybe make some assertions against the state of your application? So the code I'm going to show you is written in a library that I made called Ude, which is a strange name. And it uses another library that I ported from Python called Monocle. And together they use generators to kind of avoid tons of callbacks. And I'd love to get into that discussion with some of you over beers at some other time. It's not really for now. To show a bit of equanimity, there's a really great callback-based WebDriver client called WDJS also. So you have your options with writing Appium tests using JavaScript. So the first thing you do when writing a test is you need to initialize a session. You need to tell the Appium server, hey, I want to automate something. And you do that by passing in a desired capabilities object. That's the little object I have in the initialization function there. And I'm basically just telling Appium, hey, I want to automate an iPhone, and here's the path to the application that I want to automate with that iPhone. So this structure you'll be familiar with if you've done any work in Mocha. This is just kind of a general test harness with creating a new session before each test and ending that session after each test. And that's a good idea because it keeps your application state the same across all your different tests. So once you have a session, once you're automating an application, the first thing you're going to want to do is get a handle on some elements in your application so that you can interact with them. If you think about it, that's the first thing that your users do too. They find a button and click on it, or they read some text, or perform some kind of swipe or other touch action. And I won't go into detail about the different ways to find elements in Appium right now. There's basically 4, and they are similar to the ways that you find elements using WebDriver if you're already familiar with that. But we can find elements by their accessibility label, by their type, by their position in the UI, or by their kind of ID or localization key. And when we call these functions, we get an element object, which we can then call different methods on in order to interact with that object. So some of the things we can do with elements, we can say get the text or label which is displayed on them. So if we had a handle for a button element, we could get the text that was displayed on it. We could click that button, which is usually what you do with buttons. Or if we had a different kind of element, like an input field of some kind, like a text field or a text box, we can use the send keys method, which sort of sends a series of keystrokes to that element. So that's how I did the Safari automation with the lyrics. I was calling that send keys function in time with the music with different strings. So I said that Appium works on real devices. So here's some code for automating the Contacts app on an Android device. So the particular code isn't super important. Basically, the only thing to notice here is that your desired capabilities for Android are slightly different than those for iOS. So we set the device to Android. And we also have to include some additional information about our application so that Appium can bring up the app in order to automate it. In this case, our package identifier. And then this is the code that you're going to see it run in the video. Basically, I'm opening up the Contacts app, creating a new contact, changing some of its details. Finally, I'm deleting it. So this is just a video I took with my phone, so it's not the highest quality, but you can see that we've opened up the Contacts app. And now we're going to type in some random dude's name and a very realistic phone number and email and so on. Favorite the contact, change some of the details. So you can kind of see that with all of these standard UI elements that are in most applications, it's very easy to find them and interact with them using very simple kind of very simple code that looks like human behavior, in essence. So Appium is awesome for doing the kinds of things that I just showed you on your local computer, on your local device, but if you're really going whole hog with this continuous integration idea, you're going to have lots of tests. You're going to want to run a lot of different Appium sessions in parallel, and at some point that might be a drain on your own in-house resources, whether buying equipment or having people kind of manage this whole infrastructure, which can become a bit tedious. So the company I work for offers Appium as a cloud service, so your code stays the same, and the commands are just sent to servers or devices coming soon in our cloud, and the behaviors are executed there, and then you get a bunch of information about your test and so on. So if you're interested in that, check out saucelabs.com/mobile. And then I also mentioned that you could automate mobile web apps using Appium, and so you saw an example of that in the song with the lyrics using mobile Safari, but we can also automate Chrome. So here's another simple example where I'm running an extremely short test on Safari and then Chrome in succession, and it's just exactly the same code. I basically just wrote regular WebDriver code. It's just being executed in the mobile browsers. So it just basically opens this page, types something, and checks that it is working. So you can see that it works on Safari as well as Chrome here. Great. And a kind of tantalizing fun thing about Appium is that it has a physical robot integration. So There's a robot actually using Appium to pick out individual keys on a keyboard and send a tweet that just says, oh, hi. So it's kind of cool because using Appium, you can get a handle on elements and you can get their kind of X and Y position, so to speak, on the screen. And then that information is transmitted to this robot, which turns those into, I'm not quite sure if this is correct, but like angular momentum of servos or something in order to pick out that particular X and Y location on the screen so it can physically interact with your application. So if you want to have the most realistic automation experience, then the robot's the way to go. I don't think they're for sale or anything. They're made by one of Sauce Labs' co-founders, and you can find out more about them. They're called Tapster bots. So that's it. That's Appium. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jonathan.